Welcome back, Star Wars fans. It's Coruscant Radio Underground. Ro, it looks like it's just me and you tonight.
Excellent.
I think I saw where Nicole said she's gonna join in the chat, maybe. So,
All righty.
but for those of you that have access to the link, feel free to jump in. But
Secret stuff.
so let's just first things that jumped out at you about the episode.
So one of my first posts on the Twitter there, I mentioned that I really enjoyed it. It was different, and I know everybody was losing their mind over the World Between Worlds last week, which
Mhm.
it was good. Um, I didn't know what to expect going into this one, and I wanted something like really different. Obviously, they're going out to a new galaxy. Some of the story elements I was hoping to maybe start to wrap up. I think they are kind of taking their time wrapping everything up, but I really enjoyed this because of how different it was.
Yeah, same. I felt like it was good I mean, I love the mystical stuff like we did last week with whether that was the world between worlds or just some bridge between life and death or whatever it was.
Right.
Like I enjoyed all that, but like, it's that stuff. I don't think it's right to ask the casual fan. Like I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, you gotta make everything for the casual fan. I don't want that. I want deep lore, but I think you gotta still like give stuff that's more easily digestible for the casual fan as well. And I feel like this was. It's not as there's not as much like, you know, there's less mystery to what we watched this week. But it was a
Yeah.
solid episode of TV.
Yeah, and as far as the casual fans, because I did post a question earlier today, I asked, if any of my followers were casual fans who are not familiar with the animated shows, what they expect out of Thrawn as an adversary, as a villain, as a character. And a lot of people did respond and said, never watched the cartoons, don't know about the books. He seems pretty cool so far. So it's interesting. I think I was always afraid, I've said this before, I was always afraid that they were going to water down the story to appease those casual fans. But I feel like they've been doing a pretty decent job. And I know as deeper into the lore that we get, that I think casual fans are probably going to have to think a little harder,
Yeah.
make connections that you can't make if you're just sitting on the couch eating some popcorn and absorbing a new Star Wars product, because
Right.
this is very different. This is a unique experience for those casual fans to kind of dive in. And it's not an easy thing. It's pretty, the only easy thing is to be confused, because there is a lot of moving pieces here.
Yeah.
Although, like I said, although they are kind of doing a good job of explaining Ezra and Thrawn and who are these people. But Uber fans like us, we have the added ability and knowledge that it's a little bit more enriching for us
Mhm.
right off the get-go. But yeah, I feel bad for the casual fans, because they're gonna have to use their brain a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not, it's not a show that you can just sit down and just like totally space out and get it. Like, I mean, you're gonna have to make an effort to follow it. I feel like we probably have to make a little less of an effort to keep up.
Sure.
So yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, real quick, go through the chat, see who
Yeah.
all's in here. I see
Got a,
Megan.
got a nice
Uh,
group.
Amanda's here with us. Let's see, Baldo is here. And I thought I saw Nicole. Yeah,
Yeah,
Nicole's
there she
here.
is. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for jumping in and joining us here. So just so if you're watching this for the first time, this is just our quick reaction. It is going to be a lot of we are going to do spoilers because it's just I don't know what you say. I know there's lots of people out there doing like non-spoiler reaction shows, but like I feel like that takes too much effort.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's like I don't even know what you just have to talk around everything. You're not really
Yeah.
anything. So it's spoilers. The warnings are all over the thumbnail and the title and everything. So, but just to give you one last chance, if you hadn't seen it yet, turn around and come back later because we will be talking spoilers.
Yep.
Um, but thank you to everybody that has joined us in the chat.
And I
Um,
hope and I hope you've seen it.
yeah, and so the other thing is here because we'll both be doing it. You're doing a show Saturday.
Correct.
Okay, so and we'll be doing a show probably tomorrow evening. So this is not our full review of the episode. This is going to be probably like 20 minutes of our just what grabbed us initially about the
Mhm.
episode.
Our cliff notes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm seeing a lot of good stuff. Amanda's posting a lot of good stuff over here in the chat. Yeah, lots of
Mhm.
little cool things. We got some kind of new. We've got stormtroopers that haven't been able to, get access to new equipment in a while, and
Right.
so a lot of makeshift equipment. And I think I like that detail because one, it makes sense, but two, it flows with what we see. It fits well with what we see in the novels right now with the Imperial remnants. They no longer have access to manufacturing for new armor, and so they're making do with what they've got.
Yeah.
Um, so I like that. I'm what'd you think about the gold mask?
Oh, the Enoch character. I think
Yeah,
that was fantastic. I think it seems like we are ramping up the freakiness, the freaky factor in Star Wars, and I'm all for it. I
yeah,
think that mask is I don't know. It's pretty scary. I was and the fact that they chose to name the character Enoch is interesting to me. I'm gonna have to go back into my biblical stories and try to see if there's a deliberate connection
yeah,
regarding his name. But yeah, I love the mask. I love the stormtroopers. When you saw the Star Destroyer kind of pop out over the horizon there, and then come over the tower. I'm like, oh wow, this is pretty cool.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of cool design elements that were cool. I know the kids were loving the howler that Sabine is riding.
Yeah, that looked pretty good.
It did. It looked very good.
Yeah,
And it wasn't just the look, like it moved well. It's the just everything about the way it moved. I mean, it was you could buy it as this real thing.
yeah.
And so I loved that. I don't know if they told us what the other creatures with the shells on their back were called.
Oh yeah, not sure.
Um,
I didn't watch it. Usually I don't watch the first run and with the captions. I
right.
just want to absorb it first. But they might have the names on there during that scene. One thing that really stuck out to me is the costume design was great. All for one, and I'll get to it, but the costume design was great.
Mhm.
Those the folks that attacked Sabine in the wilderness there,
Yeah,
they looked really really good.
it did.
Can't wait to buy some Black Series action figures of those guys. But
Right. What I love the contrast between, because in this show so far we have, and you've remarked on this, how especially the New Republic stuff, it's all so clean and crisp, and it maybe it almost looks too clean at times, and but we moved over here and it doesn't feel that way anymore.
and I'm
Like this,
glad,
right?
and it makes sense.
Yeah. So I liked it. Sorry, Spencer. I see the Streamlabs bots fussing at you about some 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 light use of language there. We'll have to
Oh yeah,
I'll have to
make an
tone that
adjustment. Yeah.
I'll have to tone that filter down a bit. I'm learning. Um yeah, see, so Spencer's remark very curious who the red armored people were. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm sure we will get, I mean, surely at some point we're going to get an art of of Ahsoka book
Yeah.
that will spell a lot of this out for us, that'll give us more information.
Mhm.
Because otherwise, I mean, I I figure we're leaving this planet by the end of the series. So I don't know that we're going to get a lot of those characters. So I don't know that we'll ever learn just a whole lot about them.
Unless
So
they hitch a ride back to our galaxy. I mean, who knows?
right, yeah. I mean, I guess that's possible.
Yeah.
Um, the art books, they are very behind on the art books.
Mhm.
But I thought everything looked great. The little creatures, we got a new Star Wars language kind of going on that
Mhm.
sounded good. I don't know. I'm loving it. I'm still, man. It just makes me so sad to know that this is it for the Balin character.
Yeah. I was thinking
Um,
every time he pops up on screen, I get reminded of that fact, and it's too bad.
he's
Um,
so good.
yeah, and I love that he had some really great scenes, really great speeches,
Yeah,
and that's great. I want to learn what he is after. I mean, everybody seems to have kind of a very particular goal in mind, and Balin is eh, man, I still can't crack that egg.
yeah. So he said some things tonight about trying to find the beginning of this cycle.
Or at least
Um,
he wants to end this cycle somehow. He
right,
wants to
but
be
he's
able to
looking for where it began because he can somehow
yeah.
end it. I'm really curious about that because we still don't know what he meant. I'm kind of getting the impression that it's about extinguishing the force.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, that could go both ways, obviously, but there's another rumor that I read regarding this planet, or at least the system that this planet belongs to, as far as this other galaxy. And I was reading that the Bendu comes from this region of space.
mhm.
And if you folks remember the Bendu and Rebels, I mean, he was all about the middle, and there's no light side, no dark side. So who knows? Maybe I don't know. Maybe somehow getting the knowledge of the Bendu will allow Balin to make that happen. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of thought about something along those lines. I also the first thing I thought about was Darth Treya from Knights of the Old Republic 2, who actually has she's become to hate the Force so much because of the damage it has caused around her that she believes that it is enslaving its users and basically
Okay.
wants to snuff it out. That's the Force that's taking us over and over through this
Back and
course,
forth. Right.
this back and forth of violence, and that if she can end it, then she can end this, um, this circle of events.
So wait, are they looking for Kathleen Kennedy?
Maybe. um,
She'll end the force. Ba-dum-tsh.
yeah, Spencer, if you hadn't played Knights of the Old Republic 2, I highly recommend it. The story's not, it's in some ways not a totally fresh take on the story. There's a lot of similarities to the first game, but there are some story threads that are pretty different. There's a lot of parallels to the first one, but yeah, that Darth Treya story is pretty unique. And that was when he said, "Go back to the beginning so he can end this." That was the first place my mind went, was that he thinks he knows of some way to extinguish the Force altogether. Um, so I'm really digging that. What did you think? I thought it was interesting when one. Do you think that? What do you think the relationship is currently with Shin and Balin? Like, I mean, do you get the vibe that she's becoming sort of skeptical at what he's after? Like,
Yes,
there's
and
something going on there.
yeah, I think Shin is really apprehensive about working with these witches for
Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
And like Amanda says, I mean, it seems like she's questioning a lot of stuff that they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of predicted early on that, You know, it could be Balin that had a face turn at some point and she may not go for it. But now I'm kind of starting to reverse my position there. That I may have had it backwards.
Mhm. Yeah, because Balin seems pretty, straightforward, and that's my goal, and I'm gonna try to get to it. And I think Shin seems like, she's like starting to question stuff.
Yeah. Well, and asking about, she asks about Ezra. And I thought the question, oh, I thought it was interesting. I love getting names for things so we can reference them. And
Hmm.
I love, we kind of got I guess at this point we'd call it an unofficial name, but like Jedi, Ezra Bridger trained in the wild after the destruction of the temple. He calls them Boken Jedi, which best I can tell is a reference to the wooden training swords
Right.
that are used in some martial arts, which I guess is saying they're not the real thing.
Hmm. I got mine around here somewhere.
um, but I thought there was a lot of good references. I thought the creatures looked fantastic. What did you think about Thrawn? Because I know there was a lot of skepticism about the way he looked in the trailer.
I don't know if I got, in the trailer we just saw that one shot where he's kind of
Right.
approaching the camera. And it was probably, I don't know. I think initially we saw it at Star Wars Celebration through somebody's cell phone. But I think he looked better. I don't know if they did something to the makeup digitally to
Yeah.
enhance it. I
Maybe,
feel
or
like
maybe,
I
yeah, or
feel his
maybe we
eyes were
just didn't
redder.
see enough. Yeah.
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 The only thing that I would have one complaint is Thrawn's outfit seemed like it was purchased at Five Below. It was a little loose fitting. Really wasn't that great of a tailored fit.
I guess he hadn't been eating all that good out here on
That's true. That's true. That's true.
wherever we are.
Yeah.
Did we get a name for the planet?
Yes. Somebody in the chat will.
Well, it was Paradia, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was like this galaxy or if that was the planet or what. I guess it's the planet. Interesting note on Paradia being kind of this place where the Purgle go at the end of their life cycle to
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of they're building a lot of lore. What did you think? We skipped right over it. I mean, I was ready to jump up off the sofa when Hu Yang offered to tell a
Yeah.
story about the history of the galaxy, part
Right.
one.
And he started
Like,
with, yeah.
but it wasn't even just that he started with it. I mean, you're going, oh my god, like we could get a like first generation Jedi story here. That would be incredible. I mean, like that would be a massive piece of Star Wars lore.
Right. And did you also find it kind of meta that Ahsoka said start at the first one because the first one's the best?
Yeah.
Is she talking about A New Hope? She's talking about A New Hope, right? Yes. The OT, sure. I got you. I got you.
But yeah, I think Thrawn looked good. But yeah, I love the scene. I kind of hated that we didn't. First she says no, I don't want to hear it right now. Maybe later, and then she comes back and says, "Okay, tell me one of those stories."
Mhm.
And then we just cut away. Now we get the line, which was awesome. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, they know that we want those early stories of the galaxy, the beginning of the Jedi and all that. And of course, we've
Right.
been speculating kind of for a while that there could be we could end up getting some ties to the early days of the Jedi in this leading it, because we have a movie that's supposed to get made out there involving that era of time. So but yeah, I was super excited and then super disappointed when we didn't get to hear the story.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody heard it. We were just we stepped out of the theater at the time. Yes.
Right. Let's see. Yeah, the true
You know,
beginning of the Jedi. I mean, and that's the movie we're supposed to get.
right.
At this point, it's hard to believe a movie's coming until they roll the cameras at this point. But
Mhm. Getting back to when the Purgle were in hyperspace, uh, I almost expected the Mandalorian ship to be somewhere in the background, because everybody is speculating that during the scene when Mando's in when he takes a jump to light speed, and then he kind of takes a nap for a little bit, and Grogu is
Mhm.
like looking out the window and he sees the
Yeah.
Purrgil. Everybody's speculating that this is kind of the same scene, and I was
Yeah.
kind of looking for the ship in the background somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make it have some overlap there, but I'd have to go like when you look at the map that they keep showing at the end, like we're basically at this planet at Cetos, this planet out on the edge of the galaxy, and we're jumping from there across this void to another galaxy. So
Yeah,
I don't know if it makes sense for the paths to cross there, but it's I still love the scene and I think the scene. I don't think it's meant to be a crossover. I think the scene in The Mandalorian was just meant to show us Grogu connecting to
sure.
these creatures. But
Yeah,
I did see a lot of that speculation today. I wouldn't mind. I mean, if they did it, that's fine. I
sure.
just
Amanda's got a request.
let's see. Where is it? Can we talk about Ezra? Yeah, let's talk about Ezra.
Let's talk about Ezra. I was, when the creatures recognized Sabine's shoulder pauldron
Mhm,
with the rebel symbol, obviously I knew what was coming. I'm glad that they went back to, their little town. She's looking around, and lo and behold, um, you know, Sabine turns around, and there he is.
mhm.
I think he looked great. I think he sounded great. It's I'm looking forward to watching this series, like, back to back, and seeing it complete all the way through.
Right.
This business about waiting for next week is for the birds, man.
But I buy. I mean, I buy the actor as an older
Yeah.
Ezra.
Yeah.
I thought it was well done. And I'm ready to see. Like, I mean, we've got a big fight coming, so I kind of thought we might at least get the beginning of that tonight. It cut out. I was not happy with where it cut out. I wanted more, but
Yeah.
I guess that's a sign they're doing something right. When you're disappointed when it stops.
Sure. Yeah.
But in the
Let's
chat, uh anybody have any thoughts on Ezra? I say I wonder if you guys buy Jabba. Yeah, probably.
Amanda's last comment there. I have a feeling that Ezra's not going to be happy with Sabine, obviously, um, for the fact that Sabine kind of destroyed the map, or handed the map over, and brought Thrawn, or I guess is a tool for bringing Thrawn back to the known galaxy. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. I mean, they kind of pointed out when she first gets there, he was always kind of the king of bad ideas. So,
Mm, yeah.
I don't know if Ezra's got a whole lot of room to get too upset, but
Right.
we'll see where they go there. I'm laughing at this one because Megan, you're 100% correct. The show The Chosen, you could have taken Ezra and dropped him into the background of The Chosen, and you would have never even noticed him.
They don't have Gillettes on the far side of the galaxy.
No, I mean, so you think I mean, has Ezra even built a new lightsaber?
Good question. And actually, you would have to kind of check out his outfit to see if there's any clips or anything. Um, who knows? I mean, he's living with these creatures for a while now, and who knows what his mindset is when it comes to being a Jedi, or wanting to continue to be a Jedi. I don't know. Has he
Yeah.
been training, kind of meditating on his own, training himself? I don't know.
Or does he just, want to kill the past?
There
You
you go.
know. Oh, the most misunderstood line in all of Star Wars. Like,
Yes.
it doesn't help that it was in a bad movie, but
Spencer says, I like the rock people. What did you all think of them?
I thought they looked great.
Yeah, were they
Um,
rock people, or like almost turtle-ish?
I
I mean,
kind
the,
of,
the babies looked kind of insectoid like.
yeah, Yeah, I got kind of got insect or reptilian or something along those lines kind of
Yeah.
vibe from them.
But again, this is something that Star Wars does really well. Introduces kind of like new species, new creatures, and I was kind of looking forward to that in this episode. Um, it reminded me a lot of Ewoks in Return of the Jedi, where
Hmm.
they're trying to make
Yeah.
sense of what Leia is saying, and they go back to the village, et cetera, et cetera. So it was uh it was like poetry. It rhymed. Another one of those
Right.
misunderstood lines.
Yeah, but they were very much, kind of the kind of Jawas or Ewoks or kind of that category of character here. So, yeah, I thought all of that was really really well done.
Yeah,
And of course, I'm all about adding new creatures. I mean, the all the crazy creatures has always been a big part of what made Star Wars special, and
sure.
so I was glad to see it because we were talking about that. It may have been before Spencer dropped in, but I'm blown away. Like the how, like the what I don't know if I cannot remember if they gave us a name for these creatures,
Mm,
but the howlers look
yeah.
so good.
I was really taken aback by the level of detail, the whether it was completely CGI or enhanced, camels or whatever. It was really, really great looking.
Yeah. Yeah, flashback showing how Ezra got away. It could be interesting. I really don't know that they've got time to tell a lot of that kind of stuff.
Two more,
Um,
right? Two more episodes.
just two more, yeah.
Unless the last one is going to be longer than usual. I mean, the first one was what?
First one was right at an hour or maybe
Yeah.
just over.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I wanted to ask you because I know a lot of people have asked me, are we going to see a season 2 of Ahsoka, or do we jump right into a film after this?
It's hard to say because I know that film is a few years out.
Yeah.
And I kind of hate the idea of like wrapping the Mandalorian story and the um this show and the Boba Fett show, and we've still got Skeleton. Maybe I'm hearing a lot of weird stuff about Skeleton Crew.
Hmm.
If Skeleton Crew actually comes out and is part of all this, I kind of hate to have like a 2 year gap to come back and do that in a movie. So I don't know. I kind of hope that we have a season of something to bridge the gap.
We got Acolyte coming too.
Yeah, but the Acolyte takes place before all this,
Sure.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I hope story-wise we have something to bridge the gap.
Gotcha.
So maybe maybe we get a season that's more of a bringing everybody back together
Hmm.
to go to lead us into the movie.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not sure what to expect because I really didn't get the impression that we were getting 2 seasons of this.
Hmm.
Because I mean, at the end of this, I mean, we're 2 episodes away, and Thrawn's going to be back in our main galaxy. I mean, to me, that's time for the movie, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
don't think we can have Thrawn running around out here for years. I mean, I think we have to like jump straight into the story of how to defeat Thrawn. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on what I expect, and of course, this strike can really mess all of that up.
Sure. Yeah. The other thing too is that we can kind of take clues from what Balin was saying, this cycle of, rise of the empire, fall of the Jedi, back and forth. And we already know what happens in the sequels. The First Order rises from the ashes of the Republic. Um, I'm wondering if, in between those, we get some sort of reign from Thrawn. Obviously he's set to return.
Mhm.
He's got this starship with his legions of stormtroopers and his people. I just wonder if we're going to get some sort of middle story that kind of repeats that cycle.
Well, what I mean, like, as we talk about this, I mean, what about a Thrawn series?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
maybe at the end of this, we get an announcement of a Thrawn series, and we see him kind of go back and build his empire.
Yeah. I mean, I for all intents and purposes, I mean, I can see that happening in Ahsoka season 2,
That's
where
true too.
obviously, Ahsoka is the the driving force of trying to stop, Thrawn. And we know that the galaxy is already kind of teetering on the edge of falling again because of how the Imperial remnants are still around. So Thrawn is going to call in some favors. Thrawn is going to return and do his thing. And I think there's a potential, really, for the galaxy to kind of fall back into that cycle.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Spencer says, "Give me a Zahn book detailing his time between Rebels and Ahsoka." And yeah, absolutely. You want to get me to read a Star Wars book? That's a real quick way to do it.
Yeah.
Timothy Zahn is at this point far and away the most accomplished writer writing Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild to me that they haven't brought more of the old guys back.
Yeah, I wonder why that is. I don't get it.
I don't know, but I mean, I know Michael Stackpole is, itching to come back and write. And
Yeah.
Michael Stackpole wrote some of the best Star Wars novels out there. He wrote most of the X-wing books, and he
Mhm.
he wrote I Jedi and a couple of other pretty big books. Um, so I don't know. There's a few of those guys. There's a few of those guys I'd love to see come back.
Yeah, I almost feel like Lucas doesn't want to hire some of these older writers or creatives because they would resist a little more than maybe somebody
That's
new.
that's possible, and of course, I don't know anything about what writers make on a book. But obviously, these people they're getting that have never really. I mean, you even bring in somebody like Charles Soule. He's a accomplished comic book writer, but not a I don't know that he had written any novels before he was brought on to write a High Republic novel. So I'm assuming guys like that you can pay a little less.
Yes, and Amanda has a good point there at the end there. Some of the new writers have not been good at all.
No, and even the ones that have had a good book have really fallen off after their first one.
Mhm.
E.K. Johnston came in, wrote a fantastic book, and then she just fell off a ledge. And I would even make the same statement about Claudia Gray. I felt like Claudia Gray came in and wrote one of the best Star Wars books we've ever had, like EU or not.
Yeah.
And then when they brought her back to write more, it's like every time they bring her back to write one, she just inserts more personal politics into it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, Star Wars has always had political elements, but I don't need like modern day personal politics inserted into it. Because there's been a lot of that.
Yeah.
But again, I try not to get too bad out of shape. I just hadn't enjoyed the books. I started the High Republic. I read the first book, didn't enjoy it. Started the second book and stopped about 2 chapters in.
Same here, man.
Came back a few months later, got about 5 or 6 chapters into it and gave up on it. I don't know, just not into the new books. And it's largely they're just not well written. I read,
Yeah.
I've read a lot of books and it's hard. Like there are certain things that because I don't feel like, if to watch a movie, I've made some sort of investment, but a book, I've only made a very small investment usually. And I mean, if I get into a book, it takes a lot of time to read a book.
Sure.
And, I have a lot of other things I can do with that time, and a lot of other books I can read with that time. And so if I get a little ways into a book, quarter of way into a book, and I don't like it, I put it down.
Sure.
And that has been a big problem where I'm finding myself the last several Star Wars books I tried to read, I did that. And that's kind of makes it hard for me to go back and buy more of them.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, I read the first one. I bought the first one and then actually Marisha gifted me some Audible credits and
Oh, okay.
I bought the first High Republic book on Audible, listened to it and I can't imagine reading it because it was a little goofy. It reminded me of a halfway decent The Next Generation episode from season 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's
You
kind
can
of
make that
it's
connection.
yeah, it's kind of like that. I mean, it's like, and I know there's people that absolutely love
Yeah.
the High Republic, and that's fantastic. I mean, these books, as long as Filoni's making this stuff, I know it's technically, they're real big on it's all connected, that it's all one universe, but I still think, and I think from statements I've heard Dave make, that he still very much views book novels and comics as a lower tier canon.
Right.
That these are testing grounds, and the things that work we can use over here. That's the way George viewed the expanded universe. I know
Sure.
people are like, oh, he hated the expanded universe. He didn't hate it. If he had hated it, he'd have never let it happen.
Right.
But yeah, he doesn't love all the stories that they did, but he never viewed it as in any way, shape, or form infringing on his story.
Mhm.
So I don't know, but any final thoughts? Because obviously, again, we don't want to do our full review
Sure.
here tonight. So,
Yeah.
um, anybody have any final thoughts on Ahsoka episode 6 before we drop out of here for the night?
Wow, 2 more episodes, and again, I am left, pondering, what's gonna happen next. I mean, after
Mhm.
episode 5, I had no clue. Um, After this, tonight, again, it's, once it's gonna be crazy once they reach, normal space. It's gonna be weird, to have these characters back in normal space, and especially for us who have seen the animated shows and basically what we've been waiting like what 2 years, 2.5 years for
Yeah,
as Ezra's return,
yeah,
somewhere in there.
yeah. It's
So
been a while.
but I mean, for me, I just to reiterate, I really enjoyed this episode. It was very different. I feel that we had a lot of great little nuggets to kind of sink our teeth into, to kind of pick apart, you know, for for our more detailed shows later on. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a fantastic episode, and I like this. I know it's very tonally different from last week, but it still works in as a continuation. It's not a jarring change. It's just that we're moving away from quite as much of the mystical aspect. Although I will say I'm really digging the Night Sisters. I can't wait to find out more about, because there was speculation that the Night Sisters had come from another galaxy.
Hmm.
That's why their force ability, that's why they're different. Their connection to the force is different. And I'm curious to see, like, I want to know if there's more of them around, or if it's just, I mean, we're very clearly doing the Greek, um, the
Hmm.
fate. We're doing the fates now. I mean,
Right.
these three are playing the role of the fates. And again, we've been working in threes all
Hmm.
season long, which I think was always a nod to the fates. Star Wars has been doing that for a long time, actually, in video games and stuff, with
Sure.
the working in threes. And of course, there are lots of other reasons to work in threes outside of that. But I think in this case, it's a direct tie to the Greek fates,
Hmm.
the three crones. So
I did want to mention, we were talking about it before we went live. The Reddit posts that I was reading a couple of episodes ago. I think some of the things have come to pass. One of the things that hasn't yet, which I'd like to share because I think if it does happen, would be a wonderful, wonderful casting choice. To have the what's the name of the main um Night Mother?
oh, in
It's
Rebels,
it's Night Mother, right? Talzin?
Talzin, Mother Talzin.
Yeah. Angelica Houston, according
Mm,
to Reddit. That
interesting.
that would be freaking awesome. She's a great actress.
Yeah.
I didn't say the other word because of your moderator. Frickin'. So
Yeah, I think my moderator only gets people in the chat, so
Okay. All right.
I'll have to make the proper adjustments to the moderator droid. But
Excellent.
yeah, loved it. But I think that's where we're gonna wrap it for tonight. Thank you everybody for hanging out with us in the chat and talking about Ahsoka. It sounds like everybody that's hanging out here enjoyed the episode, and
Sure.
I can't wait to come back and talk about it. And Ro, you'll be on. Let everybody know when you'll be on talking about it.
Yeah, actually, I don't have a guest as of right now for Saturday's Scarif Live. I'm sure I can find some folks, but Andrew, obviously, if you're interested, come on by. But Saturday, 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern on the YouTube Scarif Live here at the Scarif Scuttlebutt Podcast.
Awesome. You can find me. I think we've been trying to do Wednesday nights. I expect that we will be on tomorrow evening, and I will get that posted in the morning if that's the case, to do our full review of this episode and do a little speculating on those final two. But you can find me running the Twitter account here at crew_podcast. That's CRU_podcast. Drop me a line at the sciencefictionary@gmail.com. And as always, check out bio.link/Red5 for all of the Red 5 podcast family. And that's going to do it. Again, thank you for hanging out in the chat. Until next time, may the force be with you.
This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link/Red5.